Good morning and good afternoon again. I want to, actually, last video we went and we did some walls, kind of put down an exterior footprint and, made some walls, exterior and interior walls. And what I want to say is that at this stage, of course, not everything has to be decided. You'll probably start at this stage after you've probably done a few sketches and things like that on paper, nothing formal, just pencil and paper and rulers and things like that, only if you wanted them. But just kind of getting a general idea. Sometimes I start straight on the computer. I don't even go to pencil and paper. But it's all just preference, and of course I'm different with different designs and things. Sometimes I even create a, like a full artistic rendering or sketch of something that I'm wanting to develop before I actually bring it to computer. But again, it varies. There's lots of variables in the design, this particular type of design process, and with this particular design, just understand that this is not the end. You don't have to have everything thought about and made up before you actually put it in the computer. And even when you get to this stage and you've got those exterior walls and the interior walls, that's still, you can still stretch a side apart or change some walls around and things like that. So it is a work in progress. And there is no real concrete way to tell you this is how you design a house. We'll probably go over the design process in class. I don't remember if I've gone over that with you guys yet. But it is about time that we either go over it or at least kind of spiral back to it. I teach other classes as well, and I just don't always remember what I taught each class. But we are in what's called a design process, and like I said, again, we'll go over that later. Maybe I'll even just make a video of that next as well. So here we are. We have that general layout, and as I told you in the last video, what we want to do is go and work on elevations. Okay. And I usually start with this, kind of working my elevations from the south. And that's always going to be the front of my house. That's for communication purposes. This will always kind of be referred to as the south. Obviously, if this is the north, then this is the south. The front of the house is always the south. So as you're designing, you want to make the front the south side of the house. And then, of course, northeast and west and everything else, so that you have a way of communicating with your design and something that's kind of more or less standard. So I'm going to go to elevations, and if you look over into the left column where it says Project Browser, and, of course, the name of the design, this one in particular design is called Tutorial 2020, and you have this sort of outline of all your different, all of your work. You have floor plans, level 1, level 2, and a site plan. Do not delete any of these default plans, especially the site plan. You need that. You're going to need it later. You have ceiling plans, which is typically what you would use in most cases to place lighting, and we'll get a little bit more into that a little bit later. It's kind of weird the way that works. And then, of course, elevations. This is where we want to be right now, is we want to look at our elevations. We want to double-click on the south elevation. So if I double-click on that, now what I'm looking at is what I just drew, but from standing in front of it on the ground, as if I were on the ground. We have some things we want to fix here. Generally, we want our level 2. Well, actually, we're not even going to call it a level 2. We're going to call this actually top of wall 1. This is going to be a 2-story house, and we can actually abbreviate. Let's abbreviate that. T period O period W period 1, top of wall 1. And because this is mostly what we're going to have, okay, well, let me bring this up while we're here. I just pressed enter and it brought up this little dialog box. It says confirm level rename, and would you like to rename corresponding views? Yes, you definitely want to do that. Don't ever click no on this one, because you'll get your plan all mixed up. It'll be named inappropriately and you won't know what you're looking at, and neither will I. So click yes. And so that actually renames that view over here. If you look in floor plans, you see now I have a level 1, a site, and a TOW 1, okay, for top of wall 1. Now, generally, getting back to the track that I was on, generally that's going to be 8 feet. Okay, in most cases. Your load-bearing walls, depending on the materials you're using to design your house, if you're using the most common, which is just utility grade lumber, 2x4s, 2x6s, and things like that, you're going to be at 8 feet. And actually, with 2x6s, I think you can go a little bit higher than that. There are some homes that have walls that are 10 feet. As far as load-bearing walls, but they are definitely constructed a bit differently using steel and things of that nature. But by code, load-bearing walls using utility-grade studs, which are the most common material used in home construction, then the general wall height is going to be 8 feet. Okay, you will see some walls in a home that are higher, but they're planned for. And there's other ways we go about constructing those, even with timber. There are ways we can raise that wall height with using different methods. But let's just go ahead and start with this one at first, and then we can kind of hit on some of those other topics as we need them. But we have top of wall 1 at 8 feet. And on a 2-story house, of course, the second story doesn't start just right above that. There's going to be some volume between the ceiling of the first floor. If you live in a second-story house, just kind of look up and look at your ceiling. Here in the school, you can look up and see the ceiling and just realize that there is volume between that and the next floor. Actually, in the school, there are several feet of volume. But in a home, typically there's going to be anywhere from 8 inches to a foot or better. The method that we're going to use, and there are several ways to do this on a 2-story house, but the method we're going to use is with a trussing system between the floors. Okay, so between the first floor ceiling and the actual second floor for which you stand on, there will be about 1 foot, maybe a little bit more than 1 foot of space, and it will be a truss system. So, going on a little further here, and I'm going to scoot these in a little bit closer, just like so. I need to set a temporary height for that second floor. Okay, and it's going to be actually called level 2. So there's a tool I need to use. It is the section, not a section, I'm sorry. I need to go to Architecture tab and Level. So I need to go to the Level tool. It is on the Architecture tab, all the way to the end of the ribbon, under what we call Datum, the Datum panel. And I'm going to click on that. And temporarily, I'm going to place it about 1 foot. I can actually go 1 foot 6 inches. Well, let's don't go that high. Let's just do about 1 foot for right now. So I place that at 1 foot, pull it out to the side. And if you zoom in, you can see this little lightning bolt right there. It's not going to get any larger the larger or the closer I zoom. But I want to click on that, and that's going to drop that what is currently TLW2. It's going to drop it down at a 45-degree angle. But of course, I want to pull it up and just kind of get it at about that 45-degree angle. And I could do the same with the top of wall 1 that's right below it. Just click on the little lightning bolt and it'll split apart just like that. That way I can work with them and not have to try and read through them, getting the different levels confused. I'm going to rename this level, and it is just going to be called level 2. Okay, so that is my true level 2, and yes, I do want to rename the corresponding view. Okay, now next after that, I'm going to go ahead and place a top of wall 2. I'm not sure exactly. I haven't fully decided how tall I want that to be, or where I want my roof to fall upon that. Typically, it will come in at about top of wall 2 at its final height after all adjustments are made. But you just never know how this is going to work out. So everything I'm doing right now, it's a working plan. So let's place that other level for top of wall 2, and I will again go to the architecture tab, go to level. I'm going to place this one that standard 8 feet right there, and get it out, make it all even, pretty and even. Now it says level 3, so I'm going to change that, and I'm changing that just by clicking in the box and just kind of getting out of that again. I'll click on the box, and then I might have to click on it a second time to get it to go into editing mode, and then I can change this to T.O.W.2. That is top of wall 2, and absolutely I would like to rename corresponding views. Okay, so that's how you set elevations. You may have other elevations that you know about beforehand. Since we are kind of designing this from scratch, we're going to start with those. We may add others depending on what type of treatments we want to add to the house and to the ceilings and things like that. So we'll just kind of go with that for now.